I'm CK. Today we've got another one from Molten Modular and Befaco. It's their bypass, and it's a signal bypass. Basically, as they mentioned, most effects units in eurorack don't have a bypass, so you can get the clean signal out, and you have to futz around with stuff to get that. This little module creates a bypass loop for your effects, and has a couple other interesting things to it that you'll probably find useful, as well as being able to control the bypass with CV, which is very handy. So we'll put it together, put it in the rack, and see how well it bypasses. And I hope you enjoy the video. Let's see what's in the package from Befaco and Molten Modular. I picked this up from thonk.co.uk, as I do most of my modules. Okay. Looks like, just a quick glance, looks like it's mostly surface mount already installed, but we'll see. Thanks for choosing, and no sticker. You do have an assembly guide. QR code. Oh no, there is some stuff that we can assemble. Good. Makes me happy. Let's look at the circuit board and the front panel first. Look at the front panel first. So we've got, it's a stereo unit, but you can obviously just use the left channel as mono, as is somewhat industry standard. So left in, right in, then the output to your FX box or module, then the FX module input will come back in here, and then you'll pick up the signal with the effects in it from here. Then we've got a hard and soft switch, which we'll get into later, FX gain, which I think will boost the signal a little bit if your FX unit is sucking some of the signal away. Then a switch for gate and latch, which is probably how you'll toggle this, and then a button here. So I'm going to figure latch means when you hit the button it'll stay on. Gate means it'll only stay on as long as you hold the button. That's my assumption. Let's look at the circuit board itself. And there are some ICs on board. They are some op amps. That's an op amp, but I don't know what these are. Can't really read the numbers, dang it. I'm sorry, I gotta get I'm gonna have to put my microscope, my LCD microscope on the workbench sometime so I can read these part numbers. So there's a whole bunch of stuff already on this board. But that's okay. And we'll break that apart. I'll break that apart in the interval, because you don't need to see breaking apart. Good power cable. Here we've got some bits and pieces to put on. We've got our capacitors, resistors, some ferrite beads, because it's a Befaco product and they love to condition their power well, which I appreciate, and some resistors. In here we've got a potentiometer. Oh, that's the gain. That's the FX gain pot. I was wondering where the potentiometer was going to be used. I forgot that it was in there, and it's a dually, because it's a stereo signal path. So we've got a dual rheostat or dual potentiometer. I will call them rheostats to the end of my life, because that's what I learned first. And here's the little switch, probably illuminated. They often put a little mark to show what color it is, but it does not on this one. It's one of the little push button switches. Oh, it's good clickiness. And this does go a particular orientation. When we get to that part, I'll show you how you can double check your orientation. And 2 switches, one for hard and soft, and one for gate and latch. Shrouded power connector, a couple of pin headers to join the boards together, and some spacers to join the boards together. And in here, we've got, I think this will be my 22nd Befaco panel nut wrench. And here we've got our jacks with the very aesthetically pleasing colored panel nuts from Befaco, which we love, and a couple of knurlies to mount them in the rack, which I also love. I'm a knurly guy. And one knob cap, or one knob for the potentiometer, and it looks like a cheapy knob, but that's okay. And I think this is Molten Modular's emblem, or is it Befaco's? I forget. Let me look at my sticker wall. No, all I have is the other Befaco one, the stand-up eurorack module type one, or eurorack rack one. So we'll put that on the sticker wall too. So that's all the bits and pieces. I'll bring up the build guide and get the soldering iron heated up, and we'll put this thing together. Pulled up the build guide from Befaco's site, and it's their typical minimalistic build guide. Not a lot of words, or not a lot of words, and not a lot of pictures. So let's see. We're going to have resistors first. We've got 18 resistors, which is not bad. Obviously, we've seen Befaco boards with a heck of a lot more resistors than that. I'm sorry, I keep looking up because I moved my camera a little bit, and I'm making sure my head's not getting in the shot, and it's not. So we'll do the 100K resistors first. These are all 1/4 watt resistors. So not a lot of power dissipation on these. And we will, just for fun, get the meter out and see how precise these are. It's brown tolerance, so they don't have to be very precise. And these are, 100.6 is precise enough for me. Try another one. Oh yeah, 100.6. I will take that as an accurate resistor value all day long. So let me put that aside again. Get a new piece of solder. Now, Befaco boards are also generally very good to solder on, so we will confirm that here in a second. There's no electronic component stuff on this, just knobs and jacks and the switch and the pin headers, so we don't have to worry about looking on that board for resistors. So we'll put R1 in place. See how close to the body of the resistor we have to bend things. And pretty much 1/2 millimeter of extra on either side works just fine. Get my solder out again because I made a mess. I didn't make a mess, I cut too long a piece. And as usual, the board takes solder well, and it weeps through the through-hole plating very well, so you know you have a good connection. And that's about it to talk about for resistors. So I will turn off the audio commentary, speed up the playback, and probably cut some of it out. In the meantime, you can enjoy resistor time. That's resistor time for this kit. One thing I forgot to mention is since we do have ferrite beads, we needed to save a couple of resistor leads. I saved 2. Actually, I saved 4 in case I mess up. So let me get the ferrite beads out. These provide a little induction into the power to condition the power a little bit, and they're going to go, there's F minus and F plus, so the ferrite bead, so you put the ferrite bead on the resistor lead you saved, bend it over, and put it through the holes like you would any other component. And we'll solder them as we do them, because they can be, I've had them fall out if I didn't solder them immediately because I banged the board or whatever. And since the wire's just passing through it, it's not bonded to it like a capacitor or a resistor. It can get floppy and fall out. I'm not going to trim those yet because I don't want to go off to the side without having more to trim than that. And we'll do the diodes now. These are the polarity protection diodes for the input power. And we've got a silver stripe on the diode. It's going to go to where the heavy stripe is on the board. There's also a diode symbol printed on the board, so you can do it that way too. Make your determination as to which end is the anode and which end is the cathode. Okay, what do we have next? Now we're going to do the caps, so I'm going to solder these diodes and then trim before I get the caps on. Now we'll do our caps. And first we have our 104s, 100 nanofarad decoupling caps. These little guys generally is what you'll find for decoupling caps. And we've got 12 of them, and they will go near the ICs, almost 100% guaranteed, because they're another little mechanism to get good power, clean and consistent power, keep power surges and dips away from the, or keep power dips away from the capacitor, the ICs. And you'll see them again on almost every board you're going to build that's got an integrated circuit. And if you go to the data sheet for the integrated circuits, hold on, I'm going to count these. And I have enough. I have 12 of them. On the data sheet for the IC, you'll see that they need a decoupling cap. So pretty much nothing more to say about that. Just remember you want to put them near the ICs if you're searching for where they go. C4. So again, speed up, no commentary for a little bit. There's the 104s all on. Now we'll get 4 of the 10 picofarad. And the 4.7 nanos. Again, cut them loose from the paper tape. Don't try and pull them out. You'll just damage the leads and get frustrated. Trust me on that one. And the two electrolytics, which are down here again, conditioning the input power. There is a very clear plus and minus sign, showing you where the plus, the positive lead, which is the long lead, goes. And by process of elimination, the other one is where the negative lead goes. Now we'll solder all those fellas. And all the capacitors are now on. Oh, this is a good moment to split the boards apart. No, I already did that. I'm not going to put components on and then split the boards apart. I'm going to split the boards apart before I put components on, so I'm not getting my thumbs all over everything. Okay, now we're going to do the pin headers. So some people ask whether you should put the female pin headers on one side of the board, the male pin headers on the other board. It doesn't really matter. The only time it would matter is if the board you're making has extremely tight component placement, and you don't see that very often. So we're going to put, I'm going to do both boards pin headers at the same time to make sure they all mate properly later. I find that to be advantageous. So, and again, I don't really care which way these go. So we know that the pin headers go on this side of the board besides the outline, simply because the pots and knobs and jacks are all on the other side. Same with this one. Besides the printing, we also know the power connectors on the back, and that's the power connector, so this is the way it all go together. As you can see, they're flopping around a little bit, so I could probably use a spacer to do this, but I'm not gonna. Actually, I might. Hold on a second here. I am gonna do that, just for my own peace of mind. I'm going to take one of the spacers. Are these all the same size? Yeah. I'm going to take one spacer and put it in there. And this is just to provide support while I'm soldering these pin headers. I'm not trying to put it on for final yet, so I'm not screwing it down too tightly or anything. Now we got to get the pins all lined up, which is always the fun part. Come on, stand up. And there they all are, all together. Now, since I've got this one spacer up here, I can take my handy dandy clamp and clamp this like so. And now I can solder these pin headers. I'm making sure they're not as flat as I'd like. Let me go back and bring the clamp a little bit closer. There we go. And there we go, all the pin headers are on. Now since we still have to put this power connector on and all the other components, we're going to take this back apart, and I'm going to do it somewhat gently so I can not lose my spacer. There we go. Now since we soldered them with them connected, that means we're pretty much guaranteed that they'll go back together well when it's time. Now we'll do the power connector, and the sound you're hearing is the boost pump for my water system in my house here. I'm kind of out in the nowhere land, so I don't get good water pressure, so I have to boost it. Now, you know, now that I look at this, I would have put the power connector on first, before the pin headers, Befaco, because now I've got to solder inside the little box that the pin headers made. That's kind of annoying. I should have looked at that. So what I'm going to do is grab a little piece of foam to support that. Do one pin, pick it up, take a look, make sure it's all flat, make sure there's a notch guiding us as to which end is which. They don't have a indicator for the neg side though, which is unusual. Usually there's a white line or the word neg or the printing of -12, so you can double check things, but this one doesn't. I'm surprised. Befaco usually does that, as I recall, having done 20 or so of their, more than 20 of their modules. I think my battery on my overhead camera is going to go out very shortly. So after I solder this pin, these pins, I will stop and change batteries. And that is the power connector. And as I said, I'm going to stop and change batteries. Now we'll do the spacers. As I said, we're going to do spacers should be placed on the control board. There are 2 holes for this purpose. The 11mm female to female goes between the mini jacks here. Now they did give us 3 spacers. I wonder why they just mentioned 2 here. Sorry, I'm a little confused. Their descriptions are a little confusing. I'm still not quite sure, you know, it's just not real clear what the heck they're saying. So that one definitely goes there. But the other one, on the hole of the bottom, should be placed the 11mm. Oh, I see, down here. Okay, I think I know what they mean here. Yeah, okay, I finally figured it out. You know, this is where a little picture would help, wouldn't it? So that's the way that's going to go, because we've got a little hole here in the front panel, which will screw into that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. And this will go through that hole on that side, and this one will go through that hole. Okay, that took too long. Now, since we finished everything here, our next big adventure is all the front panel components. And as usual, the only thing that's particularly interesting about the front panel here is we've got this switch, and it's this switch right here, and it can go, you can put it in the holes both ways. It'll fit both ways. So you have to be careful. There is a flat side right here that matches with the flat side printed on the circuit board. You really need to get that right. It will not work if you do not get that right, and then you'll be sad. Now we're going to put the gain potentiometer. Is that what they call it? Yeah, they call it gain. Good. Gain pot on. Trying to get this. I should have straightened those legs out a little bit. These little support lugs have a little bend in them. It's pretty extreme. So I generally use my needle nose to straighten them out just a bit. And we've got a little adjustment room there to get it to be the right height for everything else. Now we're going to do the this jack. Is this different? I don't think it's different. Shouldn't be. The launch gate jack, the ground pin is offset a little bit. Not a big problem. Just something to know. Put all the switches in. And now the rest of the jacks. Oh, the jacks on this end share a ground pin hole. So, for example, God, these are tight. These two jacks share a single ground pin hole, which can be a little bit fun to put together and see. It kind of forces it out a little bit, which is interesting, but that'll settle down once we put the front panel on. So I'll set all these guys in place. Well, because they share a ground pin, they're all cattywampus, so we'll be doing some adjustment. So right now we'll put the front panel on to do that adjustment. I don't think I will need to take this apart. Actually, I think once we get everything on board right, we will be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw, well, this is an Allen wrench. I need an Allen wrench for this, because I want to screw into the spacer. And do I have an Allen wrench to fit this right on my little carousel? I don't think I do. Okay, a little bit of a skip while I go get an Allen wrench for that. There, I tightened it down. I didn't want to bring the Allen wrench over here for just a little one Allen wrench head. So that keeps this one in the right position, and the switch still goes clicky clicky, which is good. I'm going to get the panel nut that goes on the potentiometer, because I'm not trying to tighten it, because I don't care about the height. I'm not looking to adjust the height on this. What I am looking, I can never tell which one's the big one on these Befaco nuts. thought that was it. Oh, come on. It's one of these black panel nuts. There we go. I'm not trying to get this tight or position it directly. What I'm trying to do right now, or what I'm doing right now, is just screwing this in so that the shaft will be fully perpendicular. See, again, I'm not tightening it very much, but I want to make sure this pot shaft is completely perpendicular. Now I'm going to get my little clamp. Again, people ask, this is from Wolfcraft. Picked it up at Home Depot in the United States. You can see it on their website, Wolfcraft clamps. I find it very handy because that keeps everything all tight, and I'm getting good heights. I'm pushing forward on the switches. Actually, I don't need to. The switches are aligned just perfectly, and that's good. Now I'll solder all these connections. Okay, that's it. Let me double check, make sure I've got everything soldered. The only challenge on this one being down here and in here, you're close to some surface mount components. You just got to be very careful with your iron. And now I'm going to put all the rest of the panel nuts on. Now we'll put the knob on. Pretty inexpensive, nothing special knob. Now we will put both boards together. All looks good. Now we'll get our screws. And then we'd put our power cable in there, but I don't really need to do that because I've got a power cable in my test rack that I'll be using that with. But if you did, of course, there's a key, so it just keys in like so. So that's the front, it's the side, the back, the other side, the top, and the bottom. Pretty straightforward build. And I will now put it in the rack and we'll have some play with it. And we're in the rack. A little bit of a delay that you didn't notice, but I noticed because even though I had set it, and I say it all the time, I had put a diode in backwards so it didn't fire up. That only took about 10 minutes to swap around, actually 5 minutes to swap around. But again, if a module doesn't work when you first plug it in, the first thing you say to yourself is, did I put a diode in backwards? In this case, I did. So we've got a simple sequence going from this little sequencer here to the Eden VCO, from Befaco to terminal frequency central VCA to a crush delay FX unit from Befaco, and here's the modular bypass. And as you can see right now, it's pulling 30 milliamps on, with a peak of 100, 30 milliamps on the negative rail, 33 on the positive rail, and as you can hear, just a basic simple sequence, and that's no FX and all this cabling. So we've got the output from the VCA going into left mono. We've got 2 FX from the left going into the input of the crush delay. The output of the crush delay is coming in to the from FX input, and the output from the left side is going to my little amp, and that's what we're hearing. So that's the way we're set up right now. So again, these jump over. This is the input side jumping over to the FX box, and this is the FX box coming back and going out. So that's what it sounds like, and that's with it bypassed. You can see the launch button light is off. When I hit the launch button light, as you can tell, the FX are working. Take it back out, get it back in, take it back out, back in. Again, you could do that all day. Now I do want to talk about 2 things. We're doing hard cutoff right now. When I cut the switch off, it goes immediately off. Now if I go into soft, when I hit the button out, when you see the light go out, you'll notice the FX sound will trail away. And you noticed it tailed away. It had a long tail here because of the way I've got it set up. But that's the basic idea, is if you don't want to have this abrupt transition, if you want to do something more, let the last sequence or note play out, it generally fades away. So that's kind of neat. Now I'm going to try the gate side, because the gate is, you have to hold it on. Now let's see what we can do with a little CV for that. This is the only place where we can do CV. I've got a ramp. I don't know if it's a trigger or if it's simply a pulse, or if it reacts to the ramp. So with the LFO going very slowly, it's going to come on again here in a minute. Speed it up a little bit. I guess you could do something interesting with that. I'm not feeling it right now, but it's probably because I've got a delay, which takes a long period of time to really have a noticeable effect, audio effect, so it's probably going to be better for some other effect. Now, let's see what I don't like about it. Obviously, this is set up for stereo, so I don't have any stereo modules, but I can't use this side for one effects box and this side for a different effects box. Actually, I could, but there are going to be problems inherent in that. Actually, let me see if I can. Yeah, I would be able to do that. But there's a problem inherent in it, 2 problems really. The hard-soft is going to be different, because they're going to have different tails, so you may not want hard and soft on both, or hard on both of them, or soft on both of them. The other one that's more important to me is one thing you have to do. I'm going to take this away again and go back to latch. Oh, let me see, what does latch do with the LFO triggering it? Oh, it does, it works. No, it doesn't work. Okay, never mind. So gate is only for gate. Now, one thing you have to be careful with here is when you go in and out, you have to make sure your FX gain is set. If you have it in the middle and you kick over to the FX box, it gets a lot quieter than the dry signal. So you have to set that to match the volume of your dry signal, or it's going to sound, you're going to get obviously volume fluctuations that you probably don't want. Now what that means is if you try to use this in parallel with, say, a VCO going to a delay and then a VCO going to a graphic equalizer or a reverb, you can't, there's not separate adjustments for each channel's volume. It's a ganged volume adjustment, so you could that could be a little bit of a problem. But other than that, as you saw, it went together pretty quickly, except for me putting a diode in backwards, and it works just fine. So you can see it's just like on your mixing board when you do an FX bypass. It's the same thing, a little more cabling. And again, you're going to need if you're going to use this a lot or with a bunch of stuff, you're going to need a bunch of these. That's one thing. I mean, obviously mixers have a bypass switch on each channel strip that makes it much simpler, but this, until people start putting bypass switches on their FX modules, which they should, since, I mean, every guitar pedal has an FX bypass, grab a couple of these, put them together, or buy them assembled, whichever, and I think you'll be pretty satisfied with it. And, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video.